Hello, YouTube chess lovers, and thank you for joining me again on Steve's Chess TV channel. And today I want to go over the Benoni, the modern Benoni in particular. And if I have time, I will briefly go over its arch nemesis, what I consider to be the major nemesis of it, which is the Budapest Gambit. But let's start off looking at a modern Benoni. And this is using primarily Komodo uh, 8 and 9 to find the best moves, and I also have many other engines at my discretion. But so this is really, this is 3100 ELO chess, so this is not, you'll probably not find many humans, including Magnus, that get every single move this good. And the point is, if you get good enough, then you just wait for your opponent to pretty much implode and blunder at some point. But that takes a lot of experience and a lot of training. Anyways, let's get on to the game. So, oops, I've got the board wrong side up. Let's see. How do I flip it? Mm, that's the wrong button. Huh. I thought I had an option to. Let's see. Uh, Sorry for that, guys. I could not find the button. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so d4, knight f6, c4, and c5. Very aggressive, lashing out, very modern. Of course, d5 is the move, and we are officially in the modern Benoni, and white has a choice. So, wait, excuse me. Ah, okay, that would be the Budapest. We're not going to look at that right now. So, c5 instead was played. Again, that you pushed d5. Black immediately questions the pawn. We ignore that for now, developing our knight to c3. Black takes. Pawn takes. Black secures the center with d6. e4. g6. Knight develops to f3. Black fianchettos. White bishop comes to e2, preparing castles. Black bishop comes out to g4, threatening f3. Kicking it, black decides to take. Bishop takes back. Knight to d7. It's a very classical square to develop the knight to. Queen to b3, looking like a poison pawn. Queen says, you can't take my pawn. Knight says, are you sure? Black queen drops back. Bishop to f4. Black knight up, protecting d6 by jumping to e8. a4. a6, kicking the knight. Drops back to a3. Queen comes to c7. Knight c4. Knight e5. Exchange. Wholesale exchange. Queen c3. e5, a5, excuse me. h4. h5. g3. b6. And this game, quite honestly, guys, has quite a few tiny inaccuracies. Nothing big, nothing major, just in terms of nuances. And you could easily finesse this and get a better result. But this is still at least 2800 chess, if not 2900. So it's a good idea of what the modern Benoni is and what it can do, what it can't do. So knight f6, f4, my favorite move probably in all of chess. Don't ask me why. Rook comes over to the e file, b3, queen over to e7, pawn up to f5. King says I'm going to hold that tension for a bit, and comes to g7, c1, rook, e8 to c8, queen drops back to d2, queen comes to d6, rook c4, rook b8, rook drops back to c2, b7, king over, b5, queen takes the a pawn, pawn takes, rook down to b4. Now the pawn takes on g6, pawn takes back, queen offering an exchange, go ahead and take it, check, trade rooks, trade the knight for the bishop, push the pawn, and this is an absolutely crushing, winning advantage in game, decisive. And we'll just quickly run through these moves. So this is purely academic. Just da 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 da. Improve, take, and that's all she wrote. Yeah, that's just fixing to be made. And there we go. That's made in 60. So again, that is a great example of the modern Benoni. Now, let's briefly run through that again. Well, that's just a beautiful example of crushing in-game technique, worthy of Capablanca or Kasparov or any of those guys. Okay, that's enough. Now, backing up, I want to show you an interesting discovery that I made. I hope it's interesting. Okay, so here on move, instead of taking with the pawn, you can take with the knight, and this is a very intriguing variation for you guys that play the Benoni. Let's just take a look at how this developed. I'm not going to explain too much, just kind of watch the moves and decide for yourself. Oops, sorry, that went way too fast. Gobble gobble, by goes black's rook. So white is now up a heavy piece, although he is fighting against two bishops and a queen and a rook, so still some work to be done. F3, I'm sure the king feels much safer after that move. Again, the rooks want to dominate the C and E files, which are doing a very good job. The queen and knight and pawns are all working in tandem. Queens come off. Now that's a cool move. I do have to admit, that is a way cool move. And obviously, if the rook takes, then the rooks are exchanged, and it will be one white rook versus two black bishops. Probably a easy technical win. So white takes the two rooks. Notice black cannot take the knight here. If it does, the bishops will get forked. I'll just demonstrate that. Yeah, easy tactic, and it will be a very easy, pleasant endgame from there. So that's why, in case you're wondering, saying, how come the black bishops don't take that knight? That's ridiculous. Well, that's why. So there's some work to be done, maneuvering now around these guys. Okay, almost fixing to, yeah, there we go. And finally, black says, I've had enough. Let's just exchange, and I'll take my chances, which are not good, but yep, and that's just totally getting blown off the board now. Mm-hmm. And mate. There we go. Okay, so that's took a little more work. That's a mate in 73, but it is a very interesting variation or idea or concept within Benoni for white. And I'm not presenting the merits of playing the black side of the Benoni today. I may do that in a future video, but I think white is typically a little bit better in the Benoni. But all depends who's playing, doesn't it? And how booked up they are. And deeply familiar with positions and tactics. So I thought that was very interesting. Let's see, how long have I been recording? I'm not even sure. Ooh, maybe coming up on my time limit. Let me check. Just a second. I apologize. No, I'm cruising actually today. It's strange. I've gone much faster than I normally do, so that's fine. Okay, let's take a look quickly at what black can do to counter the Benoni. Well, someone that wants to go into Benoni rather, if they're hit with the Budapest gambit. So I'll just go ahead and keep the board the same way, but here's what happens in that. You get the immediate e5. I thought there was a better move in the position. There probably is, but we'll just go through and look at this. This is just one example. Not going to explain too much, just you can look at the moves and judge for yourself whether you think they have enough merit or not. And I think white went slightly wrong somewhere there. I'm not sure how exactly, but it's already very suspicious, obviously. Let's back up and yeah, I'm not sure. Why did white castle there? That's Probably not advisable. I'll come back to that in a minute, but let's go ahead and go through the game. And here black has a huge crushing advantage. Here come the pawns. And that's fixing to be pretty much all she wrote. You got two passers. It's protected. And there's the queen, and the rest is, as they say, history. And there goes mate. Okay, checkmate. Obviously, I'm seeing that white should not have castled. Let's go back and look at that just a little bit. Let's see, how did that go down? Looking for castles. Yeah, okay. White should not have done that. That is, G3 was much safer here. So let's try that and see what happens. Okay, so he ends up castling, but after G3, which makes a lot more sense. Occupying the center. And I think here white is just crushingly better now. So, yeah, I hate to claim that the Budapest is no good, but at least here it's getting crushed with accurate play. So, once again, a lot of these gambit systems are not really sound when push comes to shove. They're a lot of fun to play, don't get me wrong. I totally see the attraction. But look at this. I mean, white is for choice. Black is starting to look ridiculous. Uh, White's pawn structure is superior. Black's pieces are getting kicked around nearly every other move. Yeah, and you can see here, guys, you're two pawns up. You don't need me to tell you that that's a nightmare scenario for any chess expert, master, FM, CM, Canada master, grandmaster, international master, woman grandmaster. That's just a flat out losing endgame now. So that's all she wrote there. I hate to say, I'm not saying you can't play the Budapest or any of those gambit systems, but be aware white with accurate play is nearly always significantly better than black. That's just the nature of gambit systems. Yeah, and that's fixing to be mate. Yep, there it is. So, hate to end on a sour note for Budapest lovers out there, but again, with accurate play, white is almost always dominant in gambit systems. But I like Benoni for white, that is for sure. As you saw earlier, Benoni for white, the modern Benoni, is a hard animal to beat. But you have to know a lot of theory, a lot of positional strategy, tactics, structure, and ideas and general themes and concepts, and the tabias. to do well against other players that are also just as experienced, if not more so, than you in those systems. But that goes for any opening out there. All right, thanks so much, guys, and keep chessing. And I hope you learned something about the modern Benoni and maybe the Budapest. Careful if you're black and you play the Budapest, you might want to get some, more fundamental defense if you play that. Okay? Thanks so much, and see you next time on YouTube.